going on, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer with the ABQJournal, and I am in VIEJAS Arena. Where's the clock here? 53 minutes away from tip-off in America's finest city, San Diego. And it's a nice little name. If you can come up with a name for your city, little tip for you. Come up with something like the America's finest city. That's what your Chamber of Commerce, if you're in charge of your town's slogan, okay? It's a good one. Anyway, last time. This will be the last time that these two teams play here in VIEJAS Arena. San Diego State does not have any intention of playing at elevation in the non-conference moving forward. So when they move to the Pac-12 and these two teams are no longer league foes, we will not be seeing these two teams play in conference action anymore. And that's unfortunate because when it comes to basketball, this is one worth continuing. It is one of the best rivalries out west. It has become in 25 games played here in this building, even before it was named VIEJAS Arena, it has become one of the best rivalries out west. It just has. UNM tied with UNLV and BYU for the most wins in this arena by an opposing team, and they get a chance to maybe get one more today. San Diego State is favored by 4.5 in most places. I haven't looked in the last hour if that line has changed. It did open at 3.5 and moved up to 4.5. 4.5 seems like a better line. This is an undefeated in-league play team, while UNM is higher in the metrics in the net rankings anyway. They're about equal in KenPom. You play in this arena, that's about a 4-point edge. 4.5 is about where it seems about right to me. I took San Diego State winning this game by 4.5. Luckily for Lobo fans, I am often wrong when it comes to picks like this. So as far as injuries go, nobody is listed as out for San Diego State. 2 are listed as questionable. Miles Bird last night was listed as questionable. He is taken off that. He will be playing. Magoon Guath, I am watching warm up in front of me. He is listed as questionable, but as I'm watching him right now, he's a full participant in warm-ups. Sean Newman, a backup point guard who had a ton of assists at Louisiana Tech before he transferred here to San Diego State, still listed as questionable. I don't know for sure the status there. Right now, we just got some bigs out here. We are missing some guards. Not all the guards are out here right now, so I can't tell you for sure the status there. But we got the Lobos down at that end of the court. Don't know how well you can see that with that. But as far as they go, Chris Howell is still out with the oblique injury. Kevin Patton is still out with he's away from the team with personal issues. No updates on either one of those. Chris Howell is here. I did talk with him before the game. It burns him up to miss this game. He's obviously from the San Diego area, so he certainly wishes he could be playing right now. He is, as best he can, participating when he can, but it's just not anything physical at this point in practice that he can do much of because of the oblique injury. It is my understanding they still expect him back, but I just don't know. Look, man, I may have stayed at the Holiday Inn last night, but I did not. I am not a doctor, and I have no idea what to tell you about oblique injuries. Nick Olson, I'm getting to the comments, and there you go. Why has Chris Howell not been playing? Well, it's because he has an oblique injury. Florida Gulf Coast game was the last game he played. He has not played since. I initially thought it was a wrist injury. I reported initially wrong. Some people got confused. I say some people got confused. I confused some people by reporting it as a wrist injury, which is what I thought it was. It has, though, for over a month now been reported as an oblique injury that he suffered in that game. He had twisted up kind of weirdly, and somehow there is an oblique injury that I couldn't tell you. I'm just not familiar with timelines on oblique injuries or really specifically what exactly the injury is. I don't know if that means a pulled this, whatever. It's an oblique injury. He's out. He will not be back in the next week or so. That's all I know about that. Mr. Grammer, what's your positive take tonight? I will tell you this. While I am picking in my Grammer's guesses against my daughter's coin flips, and she is beating me as usual. I am picking San Diego State. I do think that this is actually a better matchup for Eric Olin's style, and I think the Eric Olin versus what San Diego State does style is a good matchup for Eric Olin. I do think the Lobos have schematically what sort of can combat what San Diego State does, right? And some of that is their defense makes you have to make some outside shots and some jump shots. They don't let you score at the rim a whole lot. San Diego State's not a very good offensive. They're better offensive. Look, let me back up. San Diego State's better offensively than they have been traditionally, I would say. But I wouldn't say they're a great outside shooting team, and they're going to have to be if they want to beat New Mexico today. And that is one thing that I like for the Lobos. I also like the fact that the Lobos showed just Tuesday night in the blowout win against Grand Canyon, a Grand Canyon team who today beat Utah State at home. But in that game, they did show a capability of a mid-range jumper. The reason I think that's important for this game is San Diego State's protection of the rim is elite. You're not going to get a whole lot of buckets at the rim, and if you just hang out on the perimeter and try and shoot three-pointers, that's a recipe for disaster too. You have got to show an ability to pull up, as Jay Call and Uriah Tenet did against Grand Canyon. They shot 9 twos outside the paint. So if you think of in the paint and at the rim is where New Mexico shoots all its baskets, the vast majority of its baskets. Twos outside of the paint area, but not yet threes. They had one game all season before Tuesday where they shot 5 of those. Every other game was like 2, 3, or 4 at most. Tuesday night, they shoot 9 of them. Jay Call, Uriah Tenet live at the mid-range game, and it was the first time all year that they looked for mid-range shots. If they get mid-range shots otherwise, it's either late in the shot clock or it's just it was so open they take it, or it was a mistake, frankly. Tuesday night was the first time they looked for mid-range shots. Today, I guarantee they will have to, again, look for some of those mid-range shots. San Diego State knows that, however, after Tuesday night's game against Grand Canyon. So I do think matchup-wise, though, this is good. What Eric Olin does is good matchup-wise against the San Diego State team, which is apparent in what he did at UC San Diego. The last 2 times he played at UC San Diego against San Diego State, he had Jaden Ledee needed a buzzer, not a buzzer beater, but in the final seconds, a bucket to tip in to beat UC San Diego at UC San Diego a couple of years ago. Last year, it ended up being a 5 or 6 point game, but it was kind of in the final minute. It was still up in the air. And Eric Olin was able to do that with his UC San Diego team. And I think this is not as good as San Diego State team, and I think his New Mexico team is better than his UC San Diego team. That could be up for debate because they were a really good team last year that people still probably don't give enough credit for, too, because they're a Big West team, but they were pretty good. But this Lobo team is starting to look like a better team than that UC San Diego team. So I don't think today's an end of the world if they lose this game. Certainly isn't metrics-wise. If they lose a road game at San Diego State, are you kidding me? Like that's not going to even budge the net. It's not going to hurt unless they get blown out. But if they happen to pick up this win, their metrics are going to soar. The Lobos. As for San Diego State, like they kind of need to start worrying about postseason metrics a little bit. They do have a home loss to Troy. They did not this year, unlike most years, pick up one of those marquee non-conference wins where they knock off a Houston in a neutral court tournament, or they pick up a power conference win, or they beat a Gonzaga or something like that. Like they didn't get one of those this year. They don't have the big feather in the cap at the top of their resume that says, look at this quad 1 win we have. That's not going anywhere. We're getting in the tournament just based on that. They don't have that. So they better kind of hold serve at home, and they better kind of not run the table undefeated, but like they better be right up there with just a couple losses at the end of conference play if they want to have an at-large case to be made. And New Mexico is in that same conversation, right? So the stakes are a little bit higher in that regard for San Diego State. They can't afford to lose. New Mexico can't afford to lose this. It's not going to hurt their metrics like it will hurt San Diego State's. So in that regard, this game means more to San Diego State. On the other hand, New Mexico's got some momentum going right now that they're starting to kind of raise some eyebrows and get some attention from around the country. And I do think that a little bit of momentum, including the last time you're playing in this arena against one of those teams that imploded the league because they are leaving for the Pac-12 is important to a whole lot of Lobo fans and people at UNM. And I just think in that regard, it would be big for the Lobos if they win too. Are you surprised as much as I am? This is Fettendoc on X saying, are you surprised as much as I am how well the Lobos are doing considering a 100% turnover? Yes, first of all, I am. Well, I guess I don't know how surprised you are. I am surprised. I did pick them 4th in the preseason. They were picked 5th, so I had them higher than the overall league predictions. I don't know anybody that actually had them higher than 4th. I considered putting them higher than 4th, but then I went with Boise State and Utah State in that 2-3 spot, and San Diego State was the unanimous number 1 in the preseason, and deservedly so. But while I was high on them, am I surprised that they are sitting here with just 3 losses, and those 3 losses are to an still undefeated Nebraska team that they were down 4 in the second half? a true road loss at New Mexico State, who, by the way, gained 20 spots with their blowout at road game blowout today. After the pregame show, this will all be out of the way too. So a true road loss or at a rival, not that big a deal. And then what was their other loss? Oh, the Boise State loss. Like, it was looking worse and worse as Boise State kind of goes down the tubes a little bit. But Boise State also did pick up a win. Kind of, we'll see if that gets them right a little bit, right? Is Boise State going to be okay after picking up that win last night against Colorado State? So am I surprised? Yes. Probably not as surprised as you, because I did get to see them a couple times in the preseason. I knew that the pieces were what Eric Olin wanted. That said, I never would have guessed that Uriah Tenet's a true freshman at 5'10", doing the things he does and plays as maturely as he does off the bench. Certainly never would have guessed that Jay Call, as a true freshman, scored 3,000 points here and yet wasn't recruited by anybody out here heavily anyway, here in California. San Diego State didn't recruit him because, who's he going to defend? That's sort of the first question San Diego State asks when they're recruiting somebody, and so they didn't even recruit him. Guy scores 3,000 points in your backyard and you don't recruit him, and now he might be freshman of the year in the Mountain West. He's coming home and maybe has something to prove, although I understand where San Diego State's coming from. I would have not known where you put Jay Call into San Diego State offense, because first and foremost, if you're not defending, you're not on the floor. And it's not that Jay Call doesn't defend. It's just that in a man-to-man scenario, and that's not what UNM plays, in a man-to-man scenario, I just don't know exactly where Jay Call is going to be. So I get it. Fit is everything in college basketball, right? And Jay Call found his fit with Eric Olin. I won't say with the Lobos. I'll say he found it with Eric Olin. Eric Olin was recruiting him since he was 14. I went to a game last night where Jay Call's little brother, Dax Hall, lost to Tavid Johnson's team. And Tavid Johnson is a high school junior who was already committed to UNM. Interviewed both of them afterwards. Tavid Johnson was telling me that he's been recruited by Eric Olin since he was 13. Eric Olin's been getting on these local guys since they were really, really early. And Eric Olin has an eye for talent and has an eye for talent in what he runs. He has a system. And remember that. Don't get this confused with the Richard Pitino era. Richard Pitino was able to recruit stars. He got Donovan Dent, and he got great players like Nelly Jr., Joseph, Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn Jr. You get the stars, you figure out how to use them. Eric Olin has a system, and then you go piece players into that system, and he's done a masterful job at that, frankly. I would say he's done an amazing job at that. So, complete roster turnover. Am I surprised? Yes, I'm surprised that they're this good, but because of the way Eric Olin went about it, this is what he envisioned. And maybe we shouldn't have been that surprised. In this era, when teams are turning rosters over like crazy, why not have a system that you try and fit all those pieces in instead of just going to get a bunch of players every year and then figure out what to do? Eric Olin knew what he was doing before he got the players. Nicholas is in on YouTube saying, need to be close on rebounding battle to win. Tom needs to stay out of foul trouble. I would agree with that. But I will also point out, I've been just blown away with games that he's gotten in foul trouble and games they should have been just dominated on the boards against really good rebounding teams. Grand Canyon, one of them, Boise State, one of them. They didn't get dominated on the boards. And those are great rebounding teams, and Tomasov got in foul trouble in those games, and yet here we are, a team that isn't a great rebounding team in New Mexico, found a way to keep the battle of the boards close. So they kind of scheme things up, right? They coach things up in a way to make sure they're not going to get dominated that bad on the boards, and they've done that so far. This is a different beast. VIEJAS Arena has done some pretty lopsided things to teams in the rebounding battle at times. And like I said, 25 times UNM and San Diego State have played in this arena back when it was Cox Arena, before it was called VIEJAS Arena. And UNM does have 8 wins here, tied with UNLV and BYU for the most wins by an opposing team here. That doesn't mean they have won or leading the series. San Diego State clearly still has the lopsided edge here in VIEJAS Arena against the Lobos, but the Lobos do have the most wins here of any opposing team. And it's sad. It's sad that this is going to be the last go-around here, as the headline said in today's journal, the last dance. So, Jeff, how will you keep up with your beloved 49ers during this game? Carlos, I am not happy that you brought that up. I was in a good mood until now, so thank you a lot, Carlos. The NFL did not consult me with their schedule this weekend. I'm a little disappointed. There has been a nasty worded email fired off to the NFL offices for their scheduling of the 49er game during this New Mexico-San Diego State game. I was talking to someone actually just 25 minutes ago about this. They said, are you going to watch the game up there on your computer during the game? I don't think I'm going to watch the game, but I am not capable of not knowing the score. I am not one of those, don't tell me the score, I'm going to watch it after the game. No, I'm not capable of that. So I will be keeping updates. I will be keeping tabs. As of now, I do not plan on watching the game, 49er game. I will plan on watching the game in front of me between the San Diego State Aztecs and UNM Lobos. So there, let's watch some of this San Diego State warm-up here. Steve Singletary is in on YouTube. Steve says, I didn't think they would be handling Olin's system this well this early. That said, I was pleasantly surprised that Olin adjusted to allow that mid-range. I would agree with you, man. That mid-range game that is just the ugliest thing in the vocabulary of a coach who just loves analytics like Eric Olin is a long two. Like that is just horrible. Don't bring it up. It's just, there's certain topics you don't bring up around, mixed company and around family at the holidays. Like around a guy like Eric Olin, just don't bring up long twos, the mid-range game. Like it's the value of that shot's just horrible. He would never, ever, ever want it until you need it. And against Grand Canyon, they needed it, and they worked it to perfection. Against San Diego State, they're going to need it. And we'll see how it turns out. I'm not saying they're working it to perfection, but I will say that he is flexible enough and willing enough to adjust more than he is willing to just stick to, analytics guys hate the long two and hate the mid-range game. If that's what's open, he will take the open shot more than he will take sticking to the general rule that long twos are not a good value in modern basketball, and they aren't. But that's what you're being given. That's what you're being given. Carlos is in. The NFL is in on Fire Grammar train, I guess. So that is true. Yeah, they definitely aren't fans. They aren't fans of grammar. That's for sure. Nicholas, thoughts on GCU's upset should help us down the road. Not just down the road. It already helped that Ken Palm inched up a little bit with that win. The New Mexico State win. I know everyone loves when I bring up New Mexico State on these pregame shows. Their blowout road win of Delaware today. Who? Yeah, their blowout road win of Delaware today jumped them up 20 points in 20 spots in Ken Palm, and we'll do the same. I'm not saying 20 spots, but we'll jump them up in the net rankings when those come out tomorrow. And that could, again, be a quad 3 game, or a quad 2 game, rather. Right now it's a quad 3 loss that the Lobos have, but I'm guessing that as a result of today's game, they will be, New Mexico State, that is, will be back in the 135 or better range, which will put them as a quad 2 game. We're just talking kind of nitpicky a little bit here, but you have quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4. You don't want any quad 4 losses. Quad 3 losses, you better just have 1, maybe 2, or you're not getting to the NCAA tournament. And quad 2 losses, quad 1 losses, those don't hurt you. But New Mexico State is a quad 3 loss as we speak right now. That does not count today's blowout win that moved them up in the metrics and the computer rankings against Delaware. So David Thompson is in on YouTube. I hope Rock plays big against Worth, but it's Magoon Guath. And I wonder who is going to play or going to guard Bird. The thing, it's going to be Tajavis Miller. It's going to be Luke Hopp. Those guys have been getting the primary defensive assignments. If there is somebody that needs a primary defensive assignment, I will actually note that I don't know that San Diego State has this guy needs to be the primary defensive assignment. BJ Davis is their leading scorer off the bench, and he will obviously be a Dayton Albury, Uriah Tenet kind of assignment. He's more of a point guard. He's one of their smaller guards. I don't think my guess is Luke Hopp, who's just walking by right there, and JT Rock, which you guys are mentioned. Luke Hopp is going to get the defensive assignment on Miles Bird a lot of the game, I would think, as will Tajavis Miller off the bench. Guath and Bird are overrated, saying Nicholas on YouTube. Hope that doesn't bite my hope I don't bite my tongue, but they have both been great, not been great all year. I will tell you that Magoon Guath is still the best NBA prospect in the Mountain West because he projects better at the NBA level than he does the college level, frankly. But there's a reason he is still the best NBA prospect. Don't always associate big-time NBA prospect with big-time college player. Obviously, a good basketball player is a good basketball player, but just understand that just because Magoon Guath is the best NBA prospect doesn't mean necessarily that he's the best player in the Mountain West right now. He fits what the NBA wants a little bit more than maybe works at the college level. He's still a fantastic player, by the way, when healthy. He hasn't been healthy much of this year. In fact, I don't think he's fully healthy today. I will also tell you that Miles Bird is a guy that does a whole lot on the stat sheet that that affect a game. There's a reason he still gets minutes when he doesn't score. And it's because he's a very, very versatile defensive player. He's a very, very good at steals, very good at block shots, and long arms for his position. He is a very good defensive player, and that's why Miles Bird is still getting so many minutes, even when he doesn't score. All right, there you go, guys. There is sort of the rundown of got all your questions in. Let me give you some updated scores and lines right now. We got the final from earlier, Grand Canyon 84 over number 23, Utah State 74. That's the first loss for Utah State in Mountain West play so far this season. And that was in Phoenix where the Lobos play in a couple weeks. Nevada did go into the Air Force Academy. Update there. Well, first of all, Nevada won 81-66. That was a 15.5-point spread, by the way. So Air Force covers. They only lost by 15. And the news out of the academy this morning is that Joe Scott's suspended. Joe Scott is on indefinite suspension while they investigate his treatment of players. I do know one player, Kyle Marshall, left the team for personal reasons, it was said, earlier this season. And now Joe Scott is suspended indefinitely while they investigate. UNLV has gone final at San Jose State, 76-62. So UNLV covers there. UNLV is now 4-2 and has played the easiest schedule in the Mountain West so far. They've played a lot of the bottom feeders of the league so far, and that's part of what their schedule or their record rather reflects. But UNLV is also probably not deserving of being considered to be in the bottom class of the league, but they're not anything better than maybe mid-level of this league. So, but they should be beating San Jose State. They should be beating Air Force. They should be beating, frankly, Fresno State, which they almost didn't do earlier. And right now we got Wyoming at Fresno State, 16-15 in the first half there. And this game, it is up to a 5.5-point spread. San Diego State by 5.5, according to ESPN right now. So there you go. All updated. See if I got any more comments from you guys. It does not look like I do. I do. Okay, hold on. Logan Russell is in on X. Need to see some Aaron Ortiz and Will Jacobs content. How about a manager walking by right as we talk about that? Yes, GCU, says Royce on YouTube. Gloria Navarez needs to be investigated for Pac-2 fraud. Not entirely sure what that means. What did Gloria do to help the Pac? Not entirely sure what you mean there, Royce. I'm sure it means something. John Romero is saying on YouTube, GG, thank you for the podcast. Go Lobos. You can do it. Utah State goes down. Oh, my. Big news in the Mountain West today is that Utah State lost its first game. I think this would be – you're not going to beat the undefeated first-place team losing, but this would be right up there if New Mexico pulls this off. But 5.5-point spread, I do not think they're going to win this game, but Eric Olin's style is matchup-wise, it's a decent matchup. Like, they definitely will have a chance in this game because of the way they play. And Mexico's been playing really well. So there you go. Check out following the game. I'll have a game story, post-game video, and all that good stuff on abqjournal.com, abqjournal.com/sports to get you there a step quicker. You can also help support local journalism. abqjournal.com/subscribe is where you can support us by subscribing to the digital product or the print product. And, of course, tomorrow morning there'll be an Emptying the Notebook online in the morning. First thing in the morning, Emptying the Notebook, abqjournal.com, all that good stuff. I want to thank Sandia Sportsbook for sponsoring these podcasts, these pregame shows, the live shows, the weekly show I do with Sean Ryder, and the Talking Grammar podcast, as long as his podcast, Ryder's Block, where he is covering football. I am covering primarily basketball. And then we get together and talk all things UNM sports, including these pregame shows. So appreciate you guys for being on. Nicholas is asking, sell out at San Diego State. I mean, yeah, I haven't been told anything, but yeah, I'm sure it'll sell out. So there you go. Appreciate you guys for being on. Looks like we're about 29 minutes away, half hour away from tip-off in VIEJAS Arena for the last time between the Lobos and the Aztecs, at least for the foreseeable future. This will be it. Thanks, guys.